Hello everyone. So today we are going to start a new chapter, that is MongoDB. So we are going to have an overview of MongoDB today. Today's lecture is all about MongoDB. So we will have a brief introduction about it and then we'll move forward. So let's start. So basically, what is MongoDB? We are going to study, then the introduction, architecture, features and the examples in it. So basically, what is MongoDB? So MongoDB is nothing but it's a document oriented NoSQL database. So we are using now our subject, what we are studying is all about document oriented database, right? So one of the document oriented database we are going to study deeply is all about MongoDB. So MongoDB is a document oriented NoSQL used for high data storage, right? So now we have all of you know that we are having lot of data. So suppose you can take the example of your own Instagram accounts, and then you have Facebooks and all those. So what happens over there? So you are actually having a lot of data, right? Your data might be only for at your end a individual's data, but that data also is there with the other, there are so many people like us in the world. So to have all that data, so to store all that data, and this is all the data like what we are having. So what are we using? The audios, videos, all these are your unstructured data, right? We have two types of data, that is structured and unstructured. Structured is something where you are using the database, the proper where you are storing in the form of tables, right? Unstructured is something where you are storing that in a form of videos, audios, messages. So this unstructured data is there in a huge volume, right? To store this data now, it is very difficult to manage in a table, or you can say in a sequential query language, that is structured query language. It's very difficult. So what we are doing now, we are using now the document oriented NoSQL database. Okay, so MongoDB is a database which is there like in the mid 2000s it has started. So it was actually the time, I think 2012 or something, it has been boomed a lot. So now let's just have a look on the features of MongoDB. So as you can see, the first feature is each database contains collections, which in turn contains documents. Okay, we are going to study what is collection, what is document. So in SQL we call tables, then we have rows, columns. So in NoSQL, so that is your MongoDB, you call everything in the form of collections. Then their collections contain a lot of documents. Okay, so documents contain fields. So all these things we are going to study furtherly. Next, the document structure is more in line with how developers construct their classes, okay, and objects. It's all about, so we are using for MongoDB, we are basically using JSON, okay, so JavaScript oriented programming. So what happens over there, that we use that as a object oriented. Okay, so here we are going to use all classes and objects, right? So as seen in the so next we have a data model available with MongoDB, allows you to represent hierarchical relationships to store arrays and more complex structures. Then scalability, okay, so scalability is very important right now. So companies across the world have defined clusters. Okay, so clusters, what do you call clusters? So there are a lot of machines coming together forms a cluster. Okay, so these clusters, we are storing our whatever data we are having in the form of clusters. Okay, so we are storing that one data is having replica in. Now replication, we have studied replication before also. What happens? Replication is duplication. So what happens in replication? You are actually storing the data in a lot of machines, okay, not in one machine, and the data is also divided into parts and is stored in different machines, so that the server can take out the information very fast. So if you put everything in one machine, what happens? It loads very slow. Instead of that, if we put all the our data into parts into different machines, all those servers, all those machines will work together, and then we will have a faster, getting the data in a faster way. So that is why we are using. So lot of machines together is a cluster, right? So these are some features of MongoDB. Then we have some, okay, so examples. I want to show you an example of MongoDB. So how does a MongoDB work? So we have a ID field and everything we are going to study furtherly. So in this you are going to give the ID, okay? It is added, in the MongoDB to uniquely identify your document in the collection. So that is how it is. So as you can see over here, how we are writing, it is in a JSON, so your JavaScript. So as you can see, we are giving the ID, which is your uniquely identified, your data, your document is uniquely identified through this ID, okay? That object ID we are going to give, and you can see how the data is embedded in the document over here. So that is how it works. Okay, so next we are going to, this is very important, okay, the main topic. I think you should note it down because this is very important, the key components of MongoDB architecture. So as we are using SQL, we have studied some keywords, some key components. Similar way we are going to study in this also some key components, okay? The first one, as I told you, is the ID. So in ID what happens, this field, as I told you just now, is the unique value, the uniquely, our document is uniquely identified through this ID. So the ID is just like a document's primary key, okay? So we have done, in SQL we have primary keys and we have studied about primary keys, right? What happens, primary keys are what? Primary keys are something which are unique, uniquely we have to identify our table. So that are the primary keys we are having, right? Similar way here we are using ID. ID is the field which is uniquely identified for our document. So this is just working as a primary key for us, okay? So as you can see over here, I have given an example. So this is how the ID is, okay? Then we have the customer ID. So this is how it works. Next is our collection. So what is a collection? Okay, now we have a database, right? So database is always the same, everywhere we have a database. Now as I have given you example of database or previously also, like we are having our college PV Siddhartha. So in that we are having the database, our college, whole college, one database we have. In that database we have lot of tables, I said, right? A lot of information is there. So similarly now also we have a database. In that database we have collections. What are collections? It is similar to a table in your SQL. So we call collection in our MongoDB. It's a grouping of MongoDB documents, okay? So collection is equivalent to a table, as I told you just now. So it is just like a table we are creating, okay? So as I told you, so collection is just a table. This is an then we have a database. In that we have lot of tables. That is collection now, okay? We will not call it as tables, we will call it as collection. We have lot of collection. Then in that collection we have lot of documents, right? So that is how it works. Now cursor, everybody knows the pointer, so I don't have to explain this that much. A database. So database is a container for your collections, as I told you just now. So database example I gave you, PV Siddhartha College. We have a whole database of the college. In that we have collections, like we have examination section, then we have various departments like English, Hindi, then we have CS, then we have commerce, then we have our data science and AI. So like that we have so many of them, right? So that is how a database has a lot of collections. And then collections we have documents. Document is what? Is a record, right? It's a record in your MongoDB collection, okay? Then we have field. So what is a field? So it is just a name value pair in document, okay? So you will be furtherly seeing and you will understand when we are working on it. So this is just how it's working over here. So this is your key value pair. So you can see this is your key and this is your value. So that is how it works, okay? Okay, so the last key component we should know is about JSON. So what is JSON? JavaScript object notation, what I was telling you. So it is just a human readable form. It's a plain text for expressing our structured data, okay? So that is how we are using it, okay? So let's move forward and we will see why do we have to use MongoDB. Okay, so in a simple words, I was just telling you now. So what happens in MongoDB? So it is very fast. First thing, it is document oriented. It is no, it is a NoSQL type database. Okay, what is NoSQL? Also, I will be explaining you in the next video. So we are going to also study about that. So what NoSQL database? So instead of having data in a relational data type, it stores the data in document form. Okay, so that is why it is document oriented. Okay, so add queries. So what happens, MongoDB is supporting your you can support searching by fields, range, so and then regular expressions. So that is how it was. It can be made, return your specific fields with documents. Next is your indexing. Okay, so indexes are created to improve the performance of the searches with MongoDB. Replication, I just told you like a minute back about replication. So it can provide you availability with replications. What happens, replica sets. Now suppose one of your is not working. Okay, so one of your machine is not working, so what will happen? So your entire data will stop? No, in MongoDB it doesn't happen like that. So your data, what we are doing in NoSQL is we are storing the data in 2-3 replications. You can store 2 replications, 3 replications, it's up to us. Okay, so that is how replications we are doing. Fine. So after this we have load based balancing. Yes, so load balancing also we will be studying. Load balancing, what happens, it balances the load. Okay, because of the duplication and everything, what happens, it is splitting the data, as I told you before also just now, splitting the data into different machines, making a cluster. What happens, your data will load fast. One machine has lot of, suppose take your system itself, you are having a lot of data on your system, so it takes time to load, right? So that is why it has been divided into parts. So your data is splitted into parts. So what happens over there, you are actually your time for loading the data becomes less. Okay, so now the next is we will go for the differences between MongoDB and your RDBMS. So I want to give this because see, now you might get confused, what is a collection, what is a document, and what's a field. We do not know, right? So at that point of time, so if we compare them with SQL, as we are very good at SQL, we are using it from lot much time, and the theoretical part and everything, you will be like perfect in that. So what we can do is we will just compare these two so that you will remember the things well. So as you can see, what is we have RDBMS and MongoDB. So what is a table? We have table, right? We store our data in the table. So in MongoDB it is known as a collection, right? Collection contains documents, your table contains rows and columns, right? To store your data, collection contains documents, which in turn contains your fields and everything, and it contains your data same way. Now what is a row? Row in RDBMS is a document in your MongoDB, right? So it is very simple. It is storing the data is stored in the form of documents. Then you have columns, which are also as fields, right? So your field, your columns are known as your field. Then you have joins, and that is your embedded documents. So till here, I guess I hope everybody understood. Please note this down. Okay, these are very important terms in MongoDB. Furtherly, we will be studying about MongoDB like what in deeper. Okay, so what are scale out, scale in, all these things, and we have many things in MongoDB. And MongoDB is one very now running software, or you can say a document oriented database, which is very important for you to learn. So let's meet in the next class. I hope you understood till here. Okay, thank you.